You know that feeling you get when something sets you off like it always has? That heat in your chest? And later that night, all you can think of is all the work you've done, and you're still like this. Part of you is scared that it isn't working, but here's the part nobody tells you. Healing doesn't feel like healing. It doesn't feel like much of anything at all. It's an old feeling that is losing its grip on you 1 degree at a time. So here are 7 signs that you're actually healing. The subtle shifts I noticed on my own journey in the order they showed up for me. The last one is definitely the strangest. But here's the thing. Most people can't feel their own healing, and they end up quitting right before it actually starts working. So let's see how many of these signs you can see yourself in. But before we jump in, you should know that these signs track one wound at a time, not your whole life. So you could be at a 2 with one thing and a 6 with another. So pick one thing and track that as we move through these. Sign 1, you can actually calm yourself down. Now, I know this sounds basic and you've heard this before, but most people don't actually know what calming down is actually doing for them. People think healing is calming down. It's not. Calming down is just getting you to a place where you can actually start to heal. This is why so much of the therapist content out there is teaching you how to calm your system, because you can't do any work if you're in full-blown overwhelm. Calming down is a lot like your first days back in the gym. You're not building any muscle yet. You're just getting your body used to moving again. So why is this a sign? Because if you can consistently calm yourself down, you now have enough capacity to work on yourself. You see, your system needs to be activated and be online. Not so much that you're overwhelmed because you can't do any work there, but when it's slightly triggered, it's in a place where it can learn something new. And if it's 11 o'clock at night and your heart is racing and you're able to calm yourself back down, that takes work. And a lot of people don't count that, but it's proof that you're growing. So that's number 1. Sign 2, you can actually see it happening. So something happens, and instead of it taking over you before you even know what happens, you can see it in that moment. But here's the part that hurts. At this point, you usually can't stop it. You hear yourself snap at someone you love, and you catch it. And there's this voice in your head that says, you're doing it again. Honestly, I think that's where most people in the world are. And what really stings is all the frustration and shame you have. Because something in our brain tells us that if we can see it, then we should be able to fix it and change it. And why can't you do this? So you have the original event, you have all the shame coming in, and then there's another piece of feeling like you're failing at healing too. This is actually the place where most people start doing a ton of research, because you can see it and you can't change it, so you start looking for answers. There's a decent chance that's why you ended up watching this video. But listen, stopping it and seeing it are 2 different things. At first, the only thing you're going to be able to do is just be aware of it. And I think that really frustrates people, but that's the sequence. Just keep being aware of it. You can't heal what you never notice, but now you're noticing things. That's sign 2. And everything that comes after this is going to be what happens as that awareness grows. Sign 3. Something's loosening, but you can't see it. You're able to start staying with it a little bit. There's more curiosity. There's a little bit less shame. It's like something's changing, but it's kind of not changing, but maybe it is changing. And it's like this really weird, kind of confusing state that you're in. The same fight happens. You can't quite explain it, but it just feels slightly different. Here's what's actually happening. Remember how your system has to be slightly triggered to come online and learn something new? It's been learning and it's been bringing in new information, but it's unsure. It's sitting there saying, I want to let this go. I think I'm getting information to let this go, but I need more evidence before it can truly feel safe to let it completely go. And this is the point that people quit. It's the gym all over again. You start going to the gym and you're working out, and there's that period where you're not really losing weight. You're not sure you're putting on muscle. And if you stop, you're going to go right back to who you used to be. But if you keep going and give it more weeks and months, however long it takes, eventually you start to see all of those changes. So when you're at that point that you can't tell if things are moving, don't stop. Your system is not stuck. It just hasn't decided yet, and it needs more evidence. That's sign 3. If you're finding this valuable, like and subscribe. It really helps get it to the people who need it. Sign 4. You catch shame making everything worse. At some point, it becomes obvious that while people in your past might have done shitty things to you, you've also been doing a lot of shitty things to yourself. You maybe catch yourself mid-sentence calling yourself an idiot. And for the first time, it feels cruel rather than the truth. You suddenly get why everyone is saying that you need to be kind to yourself. It stops becoming advice and it starts to become obvious. There's this old Buddhist teaching about this. The pain is the first arrow. Everything you do to yourself about the pain is the second arrow, and you only control one of them. You might still shame yourself sometimes, but you're kinder to yourself than you've ever been. You stop shooting that second arrow. That's sign 4. Sign 5. Curiosity moves in where shame used to live. Because when you stop beating yourself up, there's all this space to get curious about why part of you needs something that you don't like in your life, what it thinks it's getting out of taking those actions. Because shame and curiosity can exist at the same time. Shame is an absolute. Curiosity comes from a place of wonder. And somewhere here, you start realizing researching and more information isn't helping. And all you need is more willingness to feel whatever comes up. And as you sit with it, things pass and you stop fearing it so much and feeling like you need to fix something and have problems. If you don't have any problems, well, what are you doing any research for? And this is when the whole thing flips. You get triggered at work, and instead of worrying about it, you're almost glad it happens because there's that thing that you can work on. And it stops feeling like you're getting attacked, and it starts feeling like a door you can walk through. That's sign 5. If you're looking for help with some of this, you can check out my website, links in the description. Sign 6. It's lighter and then it's faint. Things that used to bother you for an entire weekend only last an hour. They don't last as long and they don't cut as deep. It's like you don't really notice the feeling leaving. It's afterwards you look back and realize it wasn't that bad and it was much lighter than it's been in the past. It's a lot like getting a cut on your hand. The first couple of days, if you bump into it, it really hurts. But then as it heals more and more, it doesn't feel as bad. Week, 2 weeks down the road, it's completely back to normal and you're not feeling any pain there at all. That's sign 6. And sign 7, and this is the strangest one because it's really disorienting. Something happens that's bothered you your entire life. And it happens again. And it's just like nothing happened. You didn't get triggered. You almost have to like stop and think, like, wait a minute, did this bother me my whole life? Yeah, it did. Okay. Why didn't it bother me? Huh? And you're just left like so confused in the moment. It's a good thing. And then somewhere down the road, it happens again. And you think to yourself, oh yeah, that used to happen to me. But it doesn't come up as like this painful thing. It's almost like you're telling the story of someone else's life. For me, it was sound. I would always pay attention to sound. That's like the way I kind of had my own back, if you will. If I went into the grocery store, and let's say I was looking for something and somebody had walked by me and I didn't see it, that would throw off my entire day. I'd go into this shame spiral of how did you let this happen? And then it got to a point in my life where I worked through this and I had a friend come over to my house. They were just standing behind me. I turned around and saw them. In most of my life, that would have thrown off my entire day. Nothing happened. It was like, oh, hey, how's it going? Cool. And I was just almost in shock of like, I don't feel triggered. I don't feel weird. Everything's like perfectly fine. And here's the truth underneath it. You don't forget any of this stuff. It just loses its charge. And because there's no charge, your identity and who you are isn't so wrapped up in it. And this is why when these moments happen, you expect yourself to act and feel a certain way. When that doesn't happen, it's why it feels like it's someone else's story. And that's sign 7. Now remember, you can be a 2 at something and a 7 at something else. And sometimes you can even loop back through some of these different signs with one particular issue. It's not a sign that you're going backwards. It's just the shape of it. So go back through these 7 signs and see where you are. Not for your whole life, just for one thing. Because the truth is, a lot of people just can't see the work they're actually doing. You're not broken, you're not stuck. You just are maybe in a confusing place and it's hard to see where you're actually at. Tell me in the comments what sign you see yourself in. I read them all and reply to them all. And until next time, my friend, keep trusting your gut, keep trusting your intuition. See ya.